So we will now move on to the second part of the presentation. And give me a moment and I will pull up, there we go. Okay, so it's in our second presentation. I'm very delighted today and to have Vivian Stanford joining us. Vivian is a 16-year associate of State Farm Insurance Companies. The past 10 years of her career has been focused on the recruitment of State Farm agents, and she's been instrumental in the appointment of roughly 200 plus agents and counting. Now, for those of you transitioning in or looking to further your career, there is a wonderful thing going on right now with State Farm in regards to financial planning shops. And that is what Vivian will be talking to you today about. So I really encourage you to ask questions as we get going, because I know that this information will be really interesting to you. I think it's a fabulous opportunity. So with that, give me a moment and we'll shift over the headsets.
Well, good afternoon, I'm sure, in some locations, and good morning for those of you on the West Coast. I think we're still, well, maybe a little bit right around the noon hour. As Harry shared, I am an agent recruiter with State Farm, and I am just delighted, certainly to enjoy the previous speaker's, Elizabeth's presentation, and I trust that if you have stay tuned, not only have you demonstrated a passion about helping others through serving their financial needs, but hopefully may find some interesting information about how we approach that here at State Farm. So what I'd like to do is make this as interactive, certainly relevant for you as a participant, and so I want to make sure that we address your questions. This is a fairly complex opportunity, and what I am going to do is chip off at the tip of the iceberg just to give you a great overview and something to think about if you are looking for another way to transition your career and passion around serving and counseling with others on financial matters. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to, first of all, I'll give you about a 10-minute overview of the opportunity. So I'm going to try to paint a picture as best I can. And then I'm going to open it up for a bit of Q&A, and we'll see how that goes. And then we'll go in a little bit deeper into some of the benefits that are available to you should you decide to explore the career of becoming a State Farm agent. So just a little bit about State Farm, because I know most of you are probably thinking, well, State Farm, I'm not thinking this is a company that does any type of financial services, but as you may not know, we are one of the largest insurers in the United States, and we do offer services to Canada. We are best known for being a property and casualty company. And as a result of that, what I think is very powerful about that is the fact that we already exist as someone that serves the community. We're literally in 1 in every 3 households across America. So we are already in the homes of many of our clients across the country. With that said, we have long broadened our scope of services, primarily driven by our customers. We are well known for our services and the quality of products. And so as our customers demanded, we expanded into other areas and, of course, are growing in those areas as well. So coupled with, of course, a very long and wide number of products under the property and casualty line, we do offer a very nice family of life and health insurance products. We do offer financial services products. And as many of you may be quite surprised, State Farm, roughly about somewhere between 5 to 10 years ago, through a rollout program, now offers banking services through State Farm Bank. So we are one of the fastest growing banks in the country, and you're probably thinking, gee, I've never seen a State Farm Bank. Well, the outlet for the State Farm Bank is, of course, through our agent professionals and through the agencies that these professionals manage. So as you look at the State Farm model, what we offer is a one-stop shop for clients. So while we've got a pretty strong footing in the households through our property and casualty, which we call the entree into the State Farm family, we certainly have great ability to pivot into some of the other areas and, of course, serve clients in those other arenas. What is exciting about State Farm, given the gloom and doom that we all see out there, is that we are expanding our agency force throughout the United States, and you will see in certain states a little bit more of an aggressive growth. I'm beaming out to you here from the West Coast, and I know here in California our growth is very accelerated. So the good news to those of you that are in the profession or maybe thinking about stepping into the profession is there is a huge amount of opportunity to explore as a State Farm agent if you decided to do that. A little bit about what the agent looks like. A lot of times people have a perception of what this role looks like. Maybe you're still thinking of the good old days, the door-to-door salesman, and I have to dare say that the profession has become certainly more sophisticated. And what you do find is that our agents are not simply sales professionals just working directly with clients. They are also individuals that are running and managing the overall operation of an agency. And what that looks like is you are balancing between the client, managing the client relationship, as well as managing the operation of the actual business. And just a curious fact about State Farm, many of us know, of course, the iconic symbol of McDonald's as probably one of the more successful franchise opportunities across the state. State Farm has more outlets throughout the United States than McDonald's, which I think is quite a curious fact. So wherever you are beaming in from, I would trust that you are probably within a 5 to 10 minute mile radius to being able to access an agent professional and be able to have your services or needs met. So we are pretty prevalent already, but with the growing demands of population, with the shifts in population, we are finding that our current outlets are not sufficient. Obviously, we've got demographical shifts as well that we are managing as a company. What we classify the State Farm agent as certainly an independent contractor, and the reason for that particular classification is we want them to have the autonomy to run and manage their agency as any other business professional would have. And we want them to enjoy the benefits of that autonomy and being able to manage their own business and to set the tone for their businesses as they see fit as an individual. And so once they establish, after they've been fully trained, most State Farm agents launch their business with a complement of 3+ associates that work in collaboration with them to reach out into the community and certainly serve the needs of their customers and to certainly manage that relationship. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to paint a picture. What you should begin to see as we talk about sort of the broader scope of the agent is this concept of this individual that is a trained professional that is fully licensed. The agent carries the fire and casualty, the life license, as well as the Series 6 and 63. So that gives you a little bit of a scope for what type of portfolio they manage in terms of products. But what you should be visualizing is someone that is much broader than simply an individual that is working with clients and managing those relationships. We're looking at also expanding their role to actually being a strategic business associate where they're actually running their agency as their own small business. So the agent wears 3 hats. Obviously, they hold the hat of being certainly an advisor and consultant to their clients. They wear a second hat, which is coach and mentor to their associates. And please bear in mind, when we talk about associates, we're not talking about secretaries running around or personal assistants running around an office supporting you and supporting paperwork. We're also talking about a team of professionals who are there to support you primarily in sales activities as well as customer service activities. So these are an extension of yourself as an agent. They're also an extension of your sales team, and their focus, particularly in the early days of you developing your business, are going to be very much a sales orientation. So you act as a coach and a mentor to these individuals. And then, of course, your third hat would be that of the business, the strategic business owner, where you are developing a plan for your business and pretty much building or supporting the decisions concerning the infrastructure, considering the tone that you would like to set, what experience your clients should have as they walk into your office. Very similar things to what Elizabeth shared with us earlier. Now, with that said, I'm going to pause for just a couple minutes, and I'm going to be checking on my handy dandy item here just to make sure that we don't have any questions, because I'm going to drill in a little bit deeper, but I want to make sure that as we unroll this or unpeel this onion, that some of this begins to make sense to you and I'm not sort of overwhelming you with too much at just one moment. So I'm pausing to see if there are any questions thus far or comments. I'm assuming everyone's tracking with me, and please feel free to interrupt if you do have questions. Again, I strive for this to be fairly interactive and of course relevant to what you think is important as you would consider a career change or a new direction in your career. State Farm is well known for the time that we spend not only in engaging you in this process and evaluating you, but also once we've selected you, I would say we probably make the biggest single investment in our agent professionals than probably any other company out there. And just to give you a rough idea, at State Farm, the individual investment that we make in you runs upwards of about $300,000 per person. So what you do need to understand is there's a huge investment that State Farm is willing to make in your training, in your development, to help you become as competent and as effective as you can in what we all know to be a very, very competitive market. And one of the biggest areas that we make that investment is, and what I would trust is something that's going to be important to you, is in the arena of training and development. We certainly do not expect, regardless of the length and breadth of your experience, maybe with counseling with clients, to just join the State Farm organization and be ready to hit the road running and certainly to get out there and be effective. We do understand, regardless of whether you're very experienced or you are leaving a different industry, that a certain amount of due diligence in training and development is required to allow you to really maximize this opportunity. And I'm going to skip to I guess I blew through my first slide, and I do think that I pretty much covered everything on this. So we're moving into the benefits, and that's the section that we're in that hopefully you guys are all seeing. The current training program runs roughly 6 to 8 months. And I know for many of you, you're thinking, geez, are you kidding me? Why would I need to be trained for 6 to 8 months? And the reasoning is very, very simple. When you move into an opportunity that offers such a wide spectrum of services to a potential client, remember, we're looking at a one-stop shop. And while many of you may have a passion for financial services, we offer you an entree into someone's household through our property and casualty line. So regardless of whether you want to focus on property and casualty, certainly that's the reason you're going to have associates, is because you can specialize within your agency. And for most agents, they do reserve the financial services part of the portfolio for themselves. Obviously, those are much more complex conversations. It requires a higher degree of trust on the part of the client. And so most agents reserve those visits with clients for themselves and allow the rest of the portfolio to unfold through the associates that they've hired. So as you look at what is roughly a portfolio of about 100 products, we do want to make sure that you know enough to be dangerous, but certainly that you are comfortable not only with the product training, which of course uncovers in that 6 to 8 month period, but also the actual running and managing of the business, becoming a strategic business owner, understanding the marketing around being effective in a particular community, understanding how to develop the associates that are going to be folks that are going to work with you to advance your efforts in the community. So the training runs about 6 to 8 months. And during that time, if you are partially licensed, we will sponsor and pay for all your costs associated with all 4 of the licenses that I mentioned before. And just for a quick recap, that's the fire and casualty, that's the life license, that's the Series 6 and the Series 63. We give you roughly 8 weeks to complete those 4 licenses. If some of you are sitting with some of those licenses, obviously you will need less time to focus on licensing, and you'll have extra time to figure out all the other stuff that we're going to throw at you. In addition to the licensing, we then move, once you've been successfully completed the licensing portion of our training, you will move into the core curriculum, which extends into product training, sales training, because once you move from one product to the other, the type of conversation you have with the client will change, so your approach may be a bit different, so we want to make sure you're comfortable with that. We want you to be very comfortable with how you need to market these products out in the community, and most importantly, which I think is one of the most valuable parts of this training, is the ability to work with a mentor State Farm agent. And I've got to tell you folks, when we select a mentor, this is someone that is highly successful at the agency business and are willing to give back to the organization by inviting a new rookie to come into their office and just absorb the flow of the office, how they strategically have set up the office, how they interact with the community. They will sit in with you on sales calls, pretty much whatever you need to build your confidence as you step out of training and begin to work on your own practice. They are there as a mentor to guide you through that. And that is very unusual in the arena of this type of opportunity, simply because many people are very private about their strategies. They're fearful to share. And one of the very interesting things about the State Farm culture is a sense of family. And there is a sense of we do not need to compete against each other as professionals, but we can help and enable each other to be more effective in the different communities that we serve. So you do have access to a mentor agent, which quite frankly is priceless, because they do allow you to roll up your sleeves and actually begin to assume the role of an agent while you are under their umbrella. Now, you may notice on the slide that it says a salary match. We are one of the few companies that if we are committed to you as a talent and as someone that we think can bring a lot to the State Farm family, we are willing to put our money where our mouth is, and we do look at your income prior to coming to State Farm. We freeze the last 12 months of income, and we attempt to match that salary. And I can tell you, here at least in the West Coast, our ability to match can go up to about $150,000 a year. For those of you that may be beaming in from other states, that number may look different for you. But I just wanted to give you an idea so you can have something a little bit tangible to sort of hang your hat on as you're thinking about where you are today, where are you financially, and if you were to make a transition, how would I make that, whether I'm making a certain level of income. So what I would say is we do match your salary, and that salary extends into the full 6 to 8 month training period. So you are not struggling with, oh my God, how do I put food on my table versus how do I prepare to enter the industry in this new capacity as a State Farm agent. In addition to that licensing and training, and I know this is always an area that is very, very intriguing to individuals, so I'm going to pause again for just about a couple of minutes to see if there are specific aspects around the training and licensing that would be interesting to those of you that are on live that I can specifically address, because this is normally a very big piece and obviously a piece that's important to most individuals.
Could I ask you about the business plan?
Sure.
If you can respond to that, or are you going to cover
I'm going to go through the process.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we are going to move on. I'm going to trust that I did a really good job on that, and at least it gave you a flavor for what type of training and development is available. And one thing I didn't mention is your training is not just hands-on, as you will see through your mentor, but there is also classroom training. So you are meeting up with a number of other associates across whatever state you're in who are also embarking on this journey of becoming an agent. So it is a very structured training. For those of you that are obviously in the university system, we all love and appreciate structure. And I can tell you this is highly structured, very fast-paced. And even for those individuals that are experienced in one area of the industry or not, many people still walk out of there just totally mystified at the depth and length and breadth of what's offered in that training program. Moving down to one of the other benefits that's very interesting, bear in mind, as an insurance professional, and very similar to some things that Elizabeth shared about setting the right environment where clients can come in and feel comfortable to visit with you, to visit, in this case, with you or your team members. An office, a professional office, is certainly a required part of this type of opportunity. And we are very, very interested in making sure that individuals set up a very professional image in keeping with the image of State Farm. So to help with that, at the conclusion of your training, State Farm offers a bonus, and it's very important that I say this is not a loan. This is not something that you repay if for some reason you decided to part company with State Farm. This is just our commitment and one of the many ways that we invest in you as a professional with our company to ensure that we do our part to help you in establishing a very professional office. So we do offer a bonus. And again, I always have to give my disclaimer. This bonus varies as you go from one state to the other because of the cost of doing business and the cost of living that changes as you go from one state. But I do want to give you something tangible. So just as an example, using California as an example, that startup bonus runs at a minimum of $30,000, and that's $30,000. That's payable over the first 2 years of your career as an agent. That is payable once you have completed the training and you have now begun to assume your role as an agent in your own office, and pretty much at that point you are now an independent contractor as well. So that's a $30,000 bonus for individuals that would be exploring this in California. Obviously, for those of you that may be in other states, that number could be different, and we can certainly work with you on those numbers. We've already talked about the assigned agent mentor and the ability to go into someone's office who has obviously mastered the role of an agent and to be able to sit side by side, shoulder by shoulder, and observe and participate in how they execute their role as an agent and their role as a business owner. So we already talked a bit about that. The other benefit that we offer is the benefit of assisting you in training and developing your associates. We roughly offer them a 90-day training program that includes their licensing. And we do that up to the equivalent of 3 full-time team members. So when you get ready to launch your agency from day one, we are going to ask that you hopefully would have identified a couple team members that can be a part of your agency, and we want to assist you in pretty much having them be licensed and trained. Typically for that associate, it's a fire and casualty and life license. Again, the agent is normally reserved for the financial services conversations, so we do not license them with the 6 and 63 because we're trusting the agent's going to handle those conversations. But they go through product training, sales training, things that pertain to customer service, how to interact with your computers. So on day one that they show up as an associate of yours, these are not individuals running around looking at you, looking at themselves, trying to figure out how do they begin to add value to your organization. They are already trained and prepared to add value from day one based on the training program that we offer. They also get a salary during that training period, and that salary is assumed by State Farm. In addition to helping you get your team members up and running, we do offer, obviously, a tremendous amount of consulting support. Remember, you as an agent, one of the umbrellas you are or hats that you're wearing is the role of a business professional. You're actually running what is a small business, and so we want to be able to provide consulting support to you. And our group of consultants are typically individuals who have ran and managed successful agencies themselves. So they have walked in your shoes as an agent. They have developed businesses. They have ran into all of the issues that a typical agent or business owner would run into. And those consulting, consultants are free of charge to you as an independent contractor. All of their salaries are paid for by State Farm, and they live and breathe to support a team of State Farm agents. And they're very accessible to the agent. They're normally within a certain mile radius. They will come into your office and personally consult with you one-on-one, and they provide support pretty much for every aspect of your business, everything from marketing to team issues, to how to hire, how to deal with stuff that comes up with clients. I mean, pretty much everything that you need. In addition to the consultants, we've got a group of subject matter experts. And while we need you to know enough to be dangerous or certainly to be effective, we certainly do not expect you to know every in and out aspect of 100 products that you are potentially representing as a State Farm agent. And that's where your subject matter experts come in. These are individuals that can accompany you on sales calls, they can conference call in, but where their depth of experience come in is they are specialized in a particular line that is offered by State Farm. So when you get into more complex questions or issues with a client on any line, you have subject matter experts who spend all of their time just in that arena. And they are there to complement you, certainly to make you look competent in front of your clients, but not to the extent that you are bogged down with some of all of the details and nuances and complexities of some of the products that you're representing. And those subject matter experts as well are paid for by the corporation and are made available to you anytime you choose to access them as an agent. Moving on, I think we've done a good job of sharing the fact that we are offering a one-stop shop complement for the individual that is wanting to provide broader services beyond just financial services. And as you can see from this blowout here, we offer auto, fire, life, health, financial services, and of course a full service bank. Now, the interesting thing with State Farm is every single product that we offered must be purchased through a State Farm agent. So unlike other companies where you may join a company where you are one delivery system competing with a number of other delivery systems, we value the relationship that an agent can have with a client. That's how we have built our own success as a company. And as a result, we replicate that and we are committed to that, even though many of our competitors have deviated and created other ways to interact with a client. We absolutely believe that what sets us apart is that State Farm agent building a relationship with a client, growing with that household as that household grows. And as you know, there are typical life cycles that a household may be going through. And as a State Farm agent, you literally walk side by side with that client as they evolve through the typical life cycles. So we absolutely believe in that. So you will find that even though clients can interact with State Farm through the internet or through a number of other touch points, those touch points are always referred back to the State Farm agent to do that warm, fuzzy, more face-to-face, intimate conversation between the client and the company. So you will never be competing with another delivery system. The State Farm agent is the only delivery system, even though we know that clients like to touch us sometimes through the internet or through some other formats. So I'm going to pause because I know I'm doing a lot of talking, and I'm just going to check in and see if there are any questions, because I know this is a mouthful and can sometimes be overwhelming. Okay, well, we're going to keep on plugging through. I know you've been online for quite some time, so I'm just going to keep plugging through and hope that I might be answering some of what typically I get asked as a recruiter when someone's first exploring this. I wanted to give you an idea of what the profile of an agent is. And we normally say, and this is probably similar across the industry, whether you specialize in insurance or you specialize in financial services, or as an agent with State Farm, you kind of move across or multi-line across all those umbrellas. Typically, it takes about 5 years to build your practice. And as I said, I dare say that's probably a pretty similar timeline whether you're a specialist in financial services or on the insurance side. So a typical 5-year agent would probably be someone that employs at least a minimum of 4 associates. And I would want to share with you that we do have agencies that employ upwards of pretty close to 20 associates. So this is an opportunity that has a lot of stretch on the rubber band, meaning you may decide you want to stay as a more intimate practice, but if you have a bigger dream and a bigger vision to influence across a broader client base, you certainly have the capacity to build this as big as you want it. And again, that's where you as an individual entrepreneur really drives this, and you make this look the way you want it to look. And I think that's one of the probably greatest benefits is that individual take that you can put on this model. Most of the sales produced in the agency by 5 years are done by the associates. So you will find about 80%, there's an 80-20 ratio between the sales that are driven by the associates and the sales that are driven actually by the agent. So if you do a great job of identifying associates and developing and mentoring them, you will find very quickly that your time is spent on either working with higher end clients or troubleshooting with your associates on a client, but basically managing the business. The other piece, which carries into my third bullet point, the role of the agent begins to evolve. And what happens is you start to see a heavier focus on managing the business versus the actual personal production. While you are influencing for that and strategically organizing your agency for personal production, it is not necessarily being single-handedly done through you as an individual agent. That's the collaboration piece of bringing in other associates that are going to certainly mirror and complement you as the agent professional. And finally, on this slide, you will get a feel for this is also very much a 6-figure income. And with the insurance side of your portfolio, the concept of renewal income is what makes this a very, very fascinating opportunity on the financial end. And what we look at here is roughly somewhere between 350 to 450,000 in gross income by about your fifth year. And again, these are very West Coast numbers. In some areas, that number is actually larger. But again, if there are folks that are looking in from another mirror, we can certainly work with you one-on-one on those numbers if you're in another part of the country. But you're definitely looking at a six-figure income, and these are very average numbers, which should suggest to you that there are individuals that are doing even better than that, and certainly there's always the folks that don't do as well as the average, but that's just the law of the sales engine. Oh, getting to the contact information. What I'd like to now do is open it up and make sure that some of the things that I shared made sense and certainly addressed some of the questions that I tried to gear this towards the typical conversation I would have over a much longer period of time, of course, with someone that I'm consulting on, just to make sure that I hit what you guys needed. I would be curious to see what questions are on the table as you look at this career. What types of questions would you have about this that I didn't touch on? I'm trusting I answered the questions. Let me just give a quick close on this so you get a feel for what the process looks like. This is indeed the tip of the iceberg. So as you're looking at this opportunity, here would be some things that I would be thinking about if I were evaluating myself for this, whether this is a transition or maybe a new step into the arena. We find that the individuals, obviously, that are great for this are individuals that really care about working with clients on financial matters. And notice I say financial matters because the length and breadth of this is quite long. I mean, you can be dealing with everything from risk advising all the way into the planning stage of building, retirement, college, all the other things that people are concerned about on the other end of the spectrum. So as you look at this, you got to really get a kick out of doing that. And I know those of you that are on the conference call, I am making an assumption that you do. The other piece to this is you got to have a desire or an interest in managing a business. Maybe many of us, sometimes we're doing our dreaming and we're thinking, gosh, we've worked for an organization for a number of years, brought some good talent, but boy, would it be nice for me to be in charge and be in the front seat of my own, car or ship and to steer that as I need to. And maybe I think I'm pretty darn talented that I think I can figure out how to make a business or an enterprise work. So you've got to have some interest in managing a business and being an entrepreneur, because at the heart and soul of this is not only are you a consultant on financial matters, but another layer to you has to be that entrepreneurial spirit, someone that wants to figure things out, put the pieces of a puzzle together that becomes your agency, and see how that interacts with the community. So we're looking for people with that entrepreneurial spirit, entrepreneurial drive. The other piece, and this is the piece that is also very important to your success, is you got to be willing to develop, mentor, coach others. You cannot pull off this business by yourself. That's why the model is not a model for a one-person shop. This is a model that calls for collaboration, for you bringing in associates to surround yourself with, and to complement what you bring to the table as the agent. And as a result, to really be effective, you are going to be often coaching, mentoring, and probably having some tough conversations with your associates, because they are your associates. They are going to be selected by you, and if they are not effective, you make the call of when you want to pull the trigger on that associate no longer being affiliated with you. So you are definitely an employer, and you do have in your control the ability to develop, mentor, and groom these associates according to the standards that you set as an agent, and how you want business to be transacted out of your office on behalf of your clients. So you got to get a kick out of stepping out of yourself and being sort of focused on yourself, but also being able to step out and focus on the development of your team. And again, as we look at the strategic part of running the business, you've got to be someone that has a vision or can have a vision, articulate that vision. So you'll be invited to develop a business plan, and then monitor the execution of your business plan to make sure that all of the prongs of your business are functioning very seamlessly. So if you get a kick out of putting things together, thinking very analytically, thinking very strategically, putting a plan together through a business plan that you'll spend quite some time with State Farm developing, and then being the one to execute that vision and see it come together, this is definitely another, I think, exciting layer to just being an agent professional with the company. Now, the process of courtship is not one that we take very lightly. We do know that we want you to be very sober-minded as you explore becoming a State Farm agent and all that that means for you, not just positively, but also some of the other layers to this that really require you to assess your personal situation, make sure that you've got buy-in from the family, and that you're ready to proceed. And all of that happens over roughly a 6-week process. So unlike other careers that you may have stepped into where you visit with, a company and in 2 weeks they're handing you a job offer, we actually prefer to have a bit of a longer courtship with you, because we want to make sure that at the end of the day, when we're all signing on the dotted line, you understand and come into this thing with your eyes wide open. You've done your own due diligence, and your family is very much behind you in this effort. Launching a business such as this agency, with or without experience, is not for the sober. It's not for the faint at heart. It is tough work, but it renders tremendous benefits. And one of the things that you will explore with us, for those of you that decide to take us up on an exploration of the career, is we're going to get you in front of a number of different agents. We're going to get you into physically a number of agency businesses. So you do not have to take the corporation's word for it. You will actually talk to real-life producers who have absolutely no reason, because they're independent, to necessarily support the company if they feel differently. So you will have enough time to do your own due diligence to make sure this is the right thing for you, just as State Farm will do their due diligence to evaluate you as a prospect. And at the end of the day, if we arrive at this being a good potential marriage, we hope that you will go on to have a pretty extensive career. We do retain 85% of the agents that start with us, so that due diligence that I just mentioned does pay off for State Farm, because it means that we get it right a lot of the time, at least 85% of the time. And that is quite an unusual statistic in our industry. Most companies aren't even close to an 85% retention. So the confidence in looking at State Farm and determining if this is a good match is that if it is, you've got a pretty good odds in your favor that you're going to have a significant career. The other piece to this is most of our agents go on to have 25, 30 plus years of service. We do not have a high defection rate of our agents. We do find agents from other companies wanting to be associated with State Farm for many obvious reasons. And so we don't see a lot of movement from State Farm to other companies, but we do see a lot of movement from other companies to State Farm. So obviously that's happening for probably some very good reasons, some of which we've shared earlier. But with that, I have posted my contact information. I am very much an up-close and personal recruiter. We do not do a hard sale to anyone because we know that this has to be right for you as well as for State Farm. So I would welcome the opportunity. What you're seeing on the screen is my cell phone, so you can reach me anytime, day or late evenings to talk. We know this is a big decision, so we want to have an opportunity to really flush it out with you. in a no pressure environment. And certainly if you're the type that likes to communicate over email, my email address is also posted, so that's another great way to connect with me. But I will again pause just to make sure that there aren't any questions, and if there aren't any, then I will certainly thank you for your time, and I really appreciate the opportunity to share what I think is one of the best kept secrets in the industry out there.
Okay, any questions? Well, Vivian, I sincerely want to thank you today for coming and sharing with our students and our alumni a fascinating opportunity with a wonderful company and an opportunity that it just sounds such a high probability for success to be able to help people with quality product and also honor yourself and your family. So again, my sincere thank you to you. With that, I'll stop the recording. This is archived, so it will be available through the alumni portal, and certainly get a hold of Vivian. If you have any problem there, get a hold of me, and I will put you in